the castle. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
Still in the
yeah,
paint stuff, and as much as they tried to keep it out, and that they still made the, and that's how it feels right now. Like people are still moving towards it because I think at the end of the day, it's not going to hold. It never does. You know what I'm saying? No one can
yeah.
stay in power, and as you can see, even now you can feel the stuff crumbling, and for him, everybody's it's crumbling up there. So that was part of the mystical, some of the mystical stuff when you had mentioned. That's something that people always ask us about.
Yeah.
Uh, Truth,
Can I respond
real,
with a comment in the chat real fast? So
yeah.
Darlene took issue with me saying MAGA and Nazi in the same sentence. The MAGAs are not Nazis. They have a fundamentally different worldview. I only say if they were similar because the left hates both groups. That is what they have in common. I'm not saying their ideology is the same. I'm not saying their goals are the same. The MAGAs and Nazis are not the same groups of people.
Oh no,
Darlene,
I didn't even mention it.
yeah,
I was just trying to say how the
yeah,
mystical part of it. Whatever side you're on, I'm not one here to judge. I'm just saying that there is a mystical side. You have different factions
yeah.
of things going on, and I mean, I'm hoping it ends peacefully before anybody pushes any buttons or anything like that. But I think in my mind, a lot of things are being prevented because people are not following the plan that they thought that it was going to happen. You know what I'm saying? There's a
Yeah,
lot of people who are like basically holding up the wall. You don't see them, but there's a lot of actions that I don't think people took into account, and I think they didn't take it into account because they how can I say, they took a lot of stuff for granted and underestimated the power of certain people, and now this is why something that they thought was going to be so easy is not happening, and they're scrambling trying to figure out. Oh my God! So it's interesting. But anyway, we don't have to talk about that. I just like the mysticism. I was just wondering when you wrote your books how you all maybe put it into what you're doing now, and you know,
yeah,
yeah, it's cool.
yeah. I think I pissed off Darlene on accident because I'm watching the chat section. I think
Hmm.
she left, but that's all.
Oh, okay.
I was not trying to finish. Oh, okay. There. Oh, she's still here. So no, I mean, right. So no, the MAGAs and the Nazis are a group of people. They have different like ideologies. They have fundamentally different like worldviews. Right, MAGA is basically like right wing populism, nationalism. It's more of a reactionary counter movement. Where the
Hmm.
Nazis were very much like Hitler was actually very much a socialist in the early part of his life, and then he took that and then started being about global liberation from the communist Marxist perspective. It then became German nationalists and the national spirit and the Volk, right, blood and soil of the German people, and the perceived enemies of Germany, which Jews, gypsies, people with disabilities, and things like that. But no, I would not. I'm not casting shade on the MAGAs. People on the left typically don't like the MAGAs or Nazis. Like they tend to get compared together a lot on the left side of the spectrum. That's all I was saying.
Hmm. Do you all think that television and a lot of the literature and everything coming out now is similar, or it's affecting the thought process of a lot of people? Because there's been a
Well,
lot of movies and stuff, you know.
yeah. I mean, to get it back to this thing, you can watch whatever internet and media you want, right? No matter how far left or how far right you are. Talk to
Mhm.
only those people who agree with you. You can feed yourself shows, TV, comic books, comic strips, memes, right? People on the right love meme culture. Yeah. So you can just feed yourself. You want to, that you can find people who agree with you, no matter what you agree, whatever what you believe. And so in some ways, right, it's like you can live. We have these like parallel realities that don't intersect the way they did. And especially like
Yeah,
I'm old enough to remember when there's like only a handful of TV stations, right? And we all watch the
agree.
same TGIF. We all watch the same,
Hmm.
late night with David Letterman. And we could talk about it the next day at the cooler. But now, like, none of us watch the same thing unless it's like a really huge show like Game of Thrones or something like at
Hmm.
that level. I think Tiger King was the last thing we all watched together, right during the pandemic that everybody had seen.
Well, that's what, because even Game of Thrones, I'm just looking at it now. I'm looking at bits of it because it comes on my stream. Um, and I've always everybody wanted to go and see a dragon. That was the main thing. I can't wait to see the dragon.
Yeah,
I'm like, what? But now I saw it and I'm looking at it and I'm kind of catching up on it now because on my stream it brings up little. I don't know if you all see different things that come on your stream, like little smidgets
the
of it.
algorithm feeds you what will keep you
Yeah,
addicted
yeah,
to it.
yeah. And I've been just looking
Yeah,
at them and putting pieces together, and now I know who Tyrion is and who Sansa was, and I'm like, oh, okay, these are pretty cool. Okay, so Yeah,
Yeah.
so I agree with you. I don't think people share a lot anymore, and I guess people are probably, like you said, they're like staying within their own group, which I can think is kind of good and bad at the same time because we don't interact. I mean, I'm from
Yeah.
the years where I never thought Blockbuster would die. I thought Blockbuster was
No,
everybody came together looking at movies. I thought that was the main thing. We came together talking about movies, and I thought that because I'm of the belief that people need people, but I was wrong because apparently a lot of people like to sit at home alone in the dark and look at TV all night. So I'm like,
yeah.
who would have thought?
What's the last like show or story or mass media that you got into that you thought everybody else was getting into? Like, what's the last one, like last show you or series you really enjoyed, where you felt like if you talked to most people, they would know what you were talking about?
Um, Probably spot the Marvel universe. Everybody knows that.
Marvel, yeah. All right, Marvel,
Yeah,
yeah.
everybody knows Marvel. Yeah.
Like, it would be weird to meet someone who didn't know who Captain America was or who Iron Man is, right? Like, that'd be a really weird conversation. Yeah,
Mhm.
good call. Oh,
What about
and what,
Ryan?
yeah, Ryan?
Ryan, can you hear us?
Yeah, I was actually going to invite Ryan to, now that we can hear him,
Yeah, you were going to talk about
Okay.
finally introduce himself and
Yeah.
give us some background as to like why we've all come together and what his book is about or anything you want to talk about. So hi and welcome, Ryan.
Hey guys, thanks for the invite and thanks for all coming together. I'm sorry about the technical difficulties I had. Not sure what was wrong with the headset. Um, so I'm the author of the Flare Chronicles. I've got readers really across the globe. Now I've been to London. I've traveled about 9,000 miles this year. I've got about 80 bookstores that were supposed to carry it. But I don't have books. So it was supposed to launch August, and then that got pushed back, and then it got pushed back again, and then I don't was supposed to have books for London and UK for that networking event. I didn't get that. And now my publisher is kind of holding them hostage, and he will not give me the books because he says there's some international marketing deal, but he won't give me any details about it. I don't even know the company. I don't know any information. He will not, tell me about that. And so now I'm stuck with all these bookstores that I've promised, they would have them since August, September. I had to cancel 3 months of events. And now we're to the point where I finally got a job, but it's, I've been looking for months on end and we've been really struggling. As you see, I've got two boys. I've actually got three. My oldest is working now. He tends to be gone on the weekends. My wife, she's a CNA. She works nights every weekend that we don't travel. But I've lost all, 3 months of events, and I've got bookstores waiting. I've got readers that have been waiting since August. My series is about dragons and magic. I made my own map of Azerin. I plan to write 300 books in the series, and I'm still writing more. I've been writing fantasy music more lately than anything, which that's set to release next year. I'm gonna do it myself and the help with my brother-in-law. He's gonna be my producer in his studio. So I'm trying. It's been
Mhm.
a little bit of a struggle, but I'm trying to keep everything going. And I mean, it's just been really rough and really hard. And there's a lot of people that want to see this succeed. There's a lot of people that have waited on pre-orders. But I've had to cancel everything because I don't have books, and I've been trying to get my books back for months now, and I haven't had any success. So
Do you
today
have the
we're all.
blueprint? Do you have the blueprint where you could order more from a different publishing, or is it a contractual
I
thing?
didn't. No, I won't be for a while. Yeah, they're so currently they are. No, no. Oh. Currently, they're on KDP, the Barnes and Noble. Since it's a weird format, I could only get it on the ebook, but the Amazon, the paperback and ebooks there. I had a website, and I still have a website, but because of the financial loss that I occurred because I've been waiting for so long without books. My website is gone. It's not gone. It's just turned off for now. But they are on Amazon, and I've told people that if they contact me directly, they can send the money for PayPal or in person, and then I can order, their books through KDP. So there is a small way. It just takes a little bit. Sorry, my boys are being rambunctious after I
No
told them
problem.
not
No
to.
problem. Boys will be boys.
Yeah, they're 5 and 6, so they're a
Mhm.
bit,
Oh yeah, they're at that age.
they are.
Hmm.
My oldest one is 15, 16. Just select one. So, but yeah.
Have you ever thought about doing some consulting? Because you're doing a lot, saying that you have these books and you're going on world tours. I know a lot of people who would love to learn what you're doing and how you're doing it. Because I mean, a lot of people, including me, we're still selling our books out of our out of our back seat,
Yeah.
back seat of our cars and stuff. So
I mean, I don't mind helping people. I do have a growing newsletter that I send to almost really well. It's over 1,000 people
mhm.
now, and it's bookshops and digital creators, and I do local shout outs, 2 local business shout outs. I do local authors or creators on there. I have my links and that, and I mean, I don't mind helping anyone. I spend about 100 hours a week on my stuff, so
Mm.
I live basically on my books and that.
Well,
So
yeah, yeah, well, that's what you were doing. That just like taking a fish out of water. You were in it, and now is this something that a lot of authors need to be aware of? That sometimes you do hit snags like this. Is there any way you can even prevent anything like this from happening?
I don't know about any way preventing. I'm honestly to the point that I have already wanted to create my like a bookstore. That was a future goal, to open a brick and mortar for all the indie authors to support them and hold their books and small business merchandise. But I may do like a mobile one just because we travel so much in book events. And I mean, I've been invited to London 3 times next year. I've been invited to Smut Lovers. I got my music. I've got 2 novellas, and I'm hoping to release my Spicy Romancy series next year as well. So I've got a lot going on as well. So I don't mind helping, but it can happen. And I'm honestly to the point where I may just start my own publishing company down the road. So that
Mm,
way, I've done better when it's just been me or the few people I trust around me to handle my stuff than deal with publishing companies, because I've just had terrible experiences with any publishing company so far.
mm, mm, mm. This is a warning. Oh man, interesting. Wow, that's interesting. Um, so you're finding other ways to get the income in. Would you say like with your books and your crowd? You said you have 1,000 people and everything. Is there a way to create it and maybe get subscription money and to tide you over until you can get everything straightened out?
I mean, I could do that, but I don't know. I've never been a big subscription person. So I grew up in the 90s. My great grandma, she raised me, had a black and white TV. She had a pumping well that we pump water with, a rotary phone. I mean, very old school traditional
Mhm.
person. I grew up old school Catholic. So I've never been one to like do subscriptions and everything like that. I feel that, it's better to buy something once, and then you don't got to keep paying for it. And that, I know that's where everything's kind of, sorry guys, everything's kind of going for, is the subscription model, where you pay once a month and all of that. um And I know some people do like book boxes and they do like bundles and things like
Yeah.
that. I've seen that out there as well. Um, if I can ever get it, keep growing and get my books or have books, then that's something I'll definitely be open to. It's really what the readers want. So whatever, if they're like, hey, I want a book bundle of this and because I've got merchandise I sell as well.
Yeah, I was going to ask you about your merchandise because you've been out there for a while. So, I mean, not saying I'm sure people are excited about the books and they're probably like you've put it back, so it's probably created a sense of intensity when it comes to them expecting your new stuff. So maybe with your merchandise you can give them like a preview or something, or some of the dragons on the calendars or on the cups, or I don't know the type of merchandise you have, or statuettes or figurines and things like that.
Well, so currently I have a big 36 by 27, I believe. It's a poster. It's of the map of Azeroth, the world I created. I do coffee mugs. I do thermals. I do keychains. I have a calendar I do as well that's got illustrations of the beast or dragons or gods and characters of the series. And then I thought about doing hats and pins and things like that as well. I just haven't really got my merchandise to sell as much as I'd like. And then just recently, I do sell minifigures on my series and other figures from a shop in Tennessee called the Dragons D. And so we're collaborating together on helping local business and supporting them while helping me. So I do try to support local business and local people and local creators as well.
Awesome. Yeah, you're on the right track, man. I mean, I think this is just going to be a stepping stone, just a little bit of a twist. I don't know who this publisher is, but definitely he's not going to hold you back. That's a definite.
Yeah, and it might even work out. I mean, I know that things are really dire right now, but I'm hoping that things can maybe get resolved and it works out so that you might end up having an accidental kind of Christmas release that might actually boost things. I mean, who knows? But do you have any recourse, like what you can do with this company? Can you get a lawyer who might work it's not pro bono, but like that they don't take money until or unless they win your case kind of thing? I forget what that's called, pro rata. I don't remember. But is there any recourse you have to being able to get what you need from this company and like have some sort of intermediary?
Well, I do have some people, and I am talking to some people to try to get some things done. I really feel that he broke the contracts because he didn't deliver on time. It wasn't that winter snow came and blocked the roads or the power got shut off or whatever. It's just him physically holding them back because of some plan he says he's paying, that he won't give me any information on the company or the address or the people or anything. So legally I do have my rights, and I do feel like it's that part's on my side. I am in the works of talking to people and to see what I can do. I don't know exactly what's going to be done yet, but I am in the process of still trying to get worked out. I believe I could, because there was no acts of God. I mean, he has the books, he's just not giving them. And the thing is, it's not just me that's hurting. It's all those small businesses and bookshops and coffee shops that said, hey, we're going to take a chance on this indie author that reached out. I mean, you're talking about 100, almost 100 of them, so you're talking about hundreds of books, and it's their money too, and their Christmas for their families and supporting their shop, and it's all the creators, and then all the people in between, because when you travel, most of the time I've got my 5-year-old and 6-year-old wife with me, so we got to stop for eat, we got to stop at a hotel, I mean, we got to do all that. So it's really kind of a ripple effect on the economy and people, and not just me as well. Everybody suffered because of all this. So and I'm doing my best. I've told everyone it's not my fault. I'm trying to get them out there and people's really, really waiting on them, and they're anxiously asking me for them.
Mhm.
Um, I'm doing the best I can, with every means possible, I guess.
Mm. Do you? Is there a way? Because you have the original transcripts, correct?
I do. The KDP account is in my name, so I control that. No one else has access to it. So, hopefully, with everyone's help and support, I can get some books and get it, down the road and get them out there, because I can order author copies anytime. So,
Mhm.
I do have full control over that, and it takes about 3 weeks, a month, and they'll come here, and they'll have a nice slow cover, and they'll be, the illustrations that's in the book and my map and the manuscript, so they will be there. So I do have a way to get them. I just it's
Mhm.
the financial part that has been
Mhm.
hugely impacted because of all this, because I had 3 months of events that I had called and set up, and I mean, I'm just losing them one by one. Every time I talk to a bookshop and they're like, "Oh, hey, you don't got books." They're like, "We can't do the event. You can't." No one wants to pre-order a book. They want the
Yeah,
book
they want
to
the book
take
right
home
then
and
and there.
read.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, that's what it is. Yeah. Mhm. You're right. You're right. Wow. So you're getting ready. So basically, you're like getting ready to go on the road and do it the old-fashioned way. If we can get the books to you, you just hit the road and do where you can go. Yeah, I got you. I got you.
Yeah. So it was growing at a pace where every week I was having one or two bookstores that would reach out and request them. And it was growing at a pace where about every week I would send an email to 20 or 30 bookstores across the US and London and UK and India and really Canada, everywhere in the world. Um, and I would get, a response. So at the moment, I've got almost 100 bookstores that are waiting for books.
Mm,
It's not just one or two copies. It's like three, four. I mean, one bookstore in Ohio is waiting for 10 copies each. I mean, they're waiting for 20 books. So
mhm,
yeah, and I haven't been reaching out as much because I don't have the books. I'm waiting on them. But as soon as I get them, I'll continue to do what I did before, which was about 20 a week.
mhm,
Reach out, and network and see who would want to carry a local author, and support an indie author and support someone that's trying to make a living and provide for his family and just show the world a great story of dragons and magic and good old time.
mhm.
In
That's
the
awesome.
meanwhile, do you have any other projects in the pipeline? Because I mean, Darlene was saying in the chat that like erotica sells, and I know you mentioned you do some like erotica as well. Do you have other projects that are sort of like coming down the pipeline that could help offset some of what's going on?
Yeah, so I've actually got quite a bit. So I've finished my fantasy album. If you guys like fantasy music, Lord of the Rings or The Hobbit, any of Game of Thrones, you guys were talking about that music. I created my own album, and my brother-in-law has a studio, and he's going to be my producer. He's already working on the first song. We're hoping to have the first song out by January. And then we're going to record the audiobooks because we can do that in a studio. So I can put the audiobooks out there of the series. Um, and then I have a novella that as soon as I get an ISBN number, I'm going to publish. And then I have another novella that will be published by my second publisher in Australia. So that'll be published in there. And then I have a spicy romancy series that I made a map. Excuse me. I made a map for, and I want to get it published. So it just needs some editing. I spent about 120 hours on the map, which was a newsletter exclusive. Excuse me. And I'm talking bay. And then I'm hoping to get it out. I've sent it to introduction to people, and everyone that's likes it. If you like romancy and spicy stuff, people love that. And so far, it's gonna be like six initially versus the three of the like Player Chronicles. So that's kind of my goal my goal with everything. Um, so yeah, I mean, we'll see. You know, I'm humble that I finally got a job, and that'll help kind of make things easier and things like that. So that is the plan. Now it can change in a heartbeat, just like anything else. But
But
Mm.
it seems like you have a good diversity of tactics going on. So like that's hopefully, going to be helpful. And yeah, best of luck to you in the new job. And hopefully things go well enough that you don't need it for too much longer.
thank you.
Um,
I released a cover reveal of the novella that I'm going to publish, and on the first day, I had over 10 bookstores that immediately said, "Hey, I want this. You're going to send me some as soon as you got it." So, I
Mhm.
mean, my social media is growing. It's all blowing, blowing up. I've got almost 8K on Instagram. I've got over 1,000 on TikTok now. Facebook's growing kind of slowly, but even the YouTube channel and everything like that's growing. Don't say that. Sorry, boys.
No, no, no. This is good stuff. I mean, does it seem like um, as bad as the situation is, it seems like it's forcing you to get out to other ways so this can never happen again. Like you said, you're gonna now put everything in your pot. I like the idea of you creating your own publishing company because it's almost like you're taking the power within your hands and move and because this is only going to last for a little bit. You've already got the book.
Yeah.
Once you move past this and you go on to the next books you're getting, guess what, he can keep those books. You'll be
Yeah.
all the way, yeah, he'll just be sitting there, so I mean, I'm not trying to make light of what's going on, but I'm just saying you're putting the
Stop.
power in your own
Go
hands
sit
now.
down. Go sit down. Yeah, I mean, hold on 1 minute, guys. No,
Hmm.
sit down. That's my goal. I told my wife, unless the publisher is going to write me a check, I just, I don't want to deal with them. I do have a publisher in Australia. She's amazing. She's really done right by all her authors in her novella series. She does have two more in the next so there'll be three in the next three years. So there possibly could be two more books. I've got a couple of ideas that I can write. I just haven't started the story because I've been writing my fantasy music.
Right.
But
Mhm.
she's kind of the only publisher at this point that I'm, willing to work because when it comes next year, she will give me a check, even if it's, $50, just something small because she's just starting out.
Is,
Um,
is
but
that the way
I'm
it's supposed to work? I mean,
yeah, that
for us novices, when it comes to the book game, do they? I thought, do publishers? Do you get signed to publishers who actually give you a check, like a musician, or is it, you put the money up first, you find a publisher that'll basically publish your book, and then you go deeper inside.
No, so there's three type of publishers. There is a vanity press, which they just charge out the wazoo for every little thing, and most people have been, there's just tons of them. So most people have kind of dealt with that. Most
Mhm.
authors, I'd say. There is a hybrid publisher, which basically is a mix of traditional and the vanities. So they might charge for some services, but other services they won't. And then there is a traditional publisher that is supposed to write you a check in the very beginning. So if they give you a contract, they're supposed to write you a check. Now, the small print ones, sometimes they don't, but generally they give you a higher royalty rate because, they're not giving you a check up front.
yeah.
Um, the biggest thing that that I've ran into is my contracts, which again I believe he broke them because he didn't timely deliver. But they
Mhm.
say that I've got to sell 1,000 books of each copy in a year from a year that they're published. So you look at other small prints presses and traditional publishers, they're not going to have that the limit. There's no sale requirement to get their contract.
Mm.
um, Now, they might not pay you up front, but their percentage is going to be really high because they're kind of just starting out. But
Right.
if you get a contract that says you got to sell so many, don't do it.
Don't do it.
It's not good. And if it doesn't have like an exit clause where, it says black and white, you can get out of it, in a heartbeat, not waiting so many years, you can get out of it right then and there, then run for the hills because someone's trying to hose you over.
Is that
That's,
the kind of
that's,
contract you're
that's
under
the
now,
kind of
where you have a minimum? Sorry.
I'm sorry. Go ahead. I'm sorry. Go ahead.
Just real quickly, is that the kind of contract that you're under now, where you have a minimum sell through before the
I
contract?
do.
Oh
I
wow, that
do.
sounds like ransom. Sorry, Alfonso, you were saying.
No, I was saying, I guess you live and you learn, because that kind of knowledge you just gave me would not gave me a little bit. Now I know what to look out for. You, as
Yeah.
as Jay Z says, you went through it, so I wouldn't have to.
Yeah.
Indeed.
Yeah.
Mhm.
You do live and you learn. I will definitely say that in the publishing realm, and the being an author, you do live and you learn. I mean, it's not just on that, but it's it's even publishing books, or even like, going to events, because some events, they don't work for what you're writing, or your readers, just they're not there. Or it's even, I've met people on Instagram or social media that has done book reviews and it's just been bad. So even that, and I'm really good at making like checklists and Excel sheets and tracking all my data. So I could pretty well say, stay away from this, do this, stay away from this.
Mhm.
Um, but at the same time, I mean, two big advices that I was told early on. The first one was that you got to take some risk being an author, because you're new. You're not J.K. Rowling, and you're
Right.
not you know out there doing a ton of stuff because you're new. The other one is that um, hold on. Hold on. I'm gonna sit you down 1 minute, guys.
No problem. No problem. Yeah, he has a lot of knowledge. That's why I was thinking he might do well with consulting, because he's gone through the gamut. I know people who would definitely pay money. I know I would, to get that information, because I'm a beginning author myself. I've got a couple of books and things out, but I've been doing it like the old fashioned. I don't think I don't even think I've actually gotten published. I just sell my works.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So
that well, and the other advice I would say is that someone had told me there is more people, there's more countries than America. And don't get me wrong, I love America, I love American people. Um, but if you want to be known everywhere, you want to sell your stuff and make those connections and kind of be like a J.K. Rowling or some of those big, fourth wing big names out there. I mean, there's billions of people on Earth, and there's you look how many continents there is, and we all don't live in America. So
mhm,
you've
mhm,
got to be willing to reach out to other nations and other people, and tell your story. And
mhm.
the worst thing they can do is tell you no, but at least you tried. At least you put the effort and you did one step forward. So if you don't do that, you're never going to succeed.
Now, do you translate your own books? I mean, because I know you said you were in different countries. So do you translate them, or do they take the English, and how do you do that?
I, yeah, I haven't done the translation yet. I can, but I know some people that can translate it, and it's not that expensive. But because of everything else, I just haven't done the translation.
Mhm,
I've been more focused on like English speakers and that kind of thing.
mhm,
Um, but I know somebody for just about anything you need,
mhm.
so I could probably help you out in one way or another.
Okay.
Well connected.
And
Nice.
I mean, we've traveled 9,000 miles or more, and I flew halfway across the country to London, and I've walked probably 30 hours walking around in London and talking to bookshops and giving my cards away and talking to local cafes and local people and just anybody that would listen to me. I mean, I'll do whatever it takes to get my name out there. So,
That's interesting. What do you think is
yeah.
the most popular genre right now? I mean, you've got dragons and gods, and I know those are always popular. Any other genres you think? Like, because I heard that children's books are still popular. Anything else?
They are definitely romantasy is a growing field. It's been a growing field the last 2 years. The problem becomes that, excuse me, the problem becomes is that it's really crowded out there. So, you know, you gotta really market it well, and you gotta like creatively think how you're gonna approach that, because you know you're kind of a dime a dozen at that point. So if you only write one genre, then you're limiting yourself from all the potential. So fantasy is still kind of the biggest growth out there, you know, that are most popular. But there's different kinds of fantasy. Like there's a vampire and werewolf novella. That's the Australian one. And you know, there's dragons, there's spicy stuff, there's epic fantasy, there's high fantasy, there's you know, like nonfiction fantasy a little bit. You can kind of intertwine. There's a lit RPG that's becoming a big thing as well.
What
Um,
role playing like a role playing model or of books?
well, so imagine like Donkey Kong or Super Mario, and imagine like writing a book about it, but your own little twist of things and fantasy
So
kind
like
of
fan
thing.
fiction, you mean?
Well, it's actually called lit RPG. It's a whole new genre that's coming out. So and
Interesting.
it's becoming very popular. It's I mean it's not something that you just don't hear. I hear it more and more. The more I travel, the more I hear it. And it's not just this country. UK is pretty popular as well. So, but they love fantasy as well. I mean, you give them fantasy and they love it.
Wow.
Yeah, the
Okay.
home of Tolkien. Everyone, has
Nice.
a bit of
It
that
is.
there.
What? Go ahead. Go ahead. Yeah. No, go
Oh, I
ahead.
was just no. If you have another question, go for it. I was gonna announce the next set of the program, but if you want
Oh,
to,
okay. No.
no, go ahead.
I'm a talker.
You've been asking great questions. Don't let me stop you. I'm not getting in your way.
I just wanted to ask one more question.
Go for it.
What percentage of your book and your merch is it like a 50-50? Like when you have your book and then you have your merch, or are you just getting the merch out there, or like how is it? You know, somebody buys a book, you give them a cup, or you know, I mean, how do you do that?
So traditionally, I've been doing it separate. So they're each separate priced item. Now, you know, my eighth grade teacher was the one that inspired me. She was the one that really pushed me to become a writer. My dad was a tool and die maker, so he's good with his hands, and mechanically, he's not good at reading. So, it was her, you know, her being the one that kind of pushed me in that direction. And so I've always been a giver. I've always tried to give back. I have a lot of respect for teachers or anybody in the service. So, and having kids of my own, I know what's like going to an event and your kids are running wild or they're getting really antsy because it's just, you know, they're kids. I mean, what can you do, you know?
Right.
So I do give out a lot of merchandise, especially to kids when I see them, or teachers. I'll give out some coffee mugs or tumblers, or you know, bookshop owners that have been really kind to me and waiting, or really big supporters. I just try to say thank you any way I can, and so you know, with whatever resource I can, that's what I'm going to say thank you with. So I have been separating them, and I gave out a ton of bookmarks as well because everyone loves bookmarks. And you know, I know the economy's hard and it's tight, and I don't want to Jew people on money. So
Right.
I'm a lover and a giver, you know, not a fighter. So
Man, hey, Ryan, thank you. I appreciate it.
you're welcome.
Thank you so much,
I definitely
Ryan,
want to
for
keep
all
in
that
contact
insight.
with you.
Yeah, I feel like we're all going to want to keep in touch after this because it's an interesting group of people. So, just to keep us moving along a bit on the schedule, we have next up creating weird things in a weird world. So, it's hard to create things and even harder when you're creating for an alternative, fringe, or weird audience. How do people do it? Creators are going to talk about and give advice and thoughts. And I'd like to invite on Ed Bishop. I'm going to turn your camera on.
Yeah, Bishop.
You don't have to turn your camera on. I'm just letting you know that I'm giving you access.
Okay.
Hi, Ed. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, Titania.
Welcome.
Hey, Jeff. Hey, Ryan.
Hi.
Hey, how's it going?
Yeah. Now, since
you want to introduce yourself, Ed? Because I feel like
Yes.
we've all kind of introduced ourselves. So you want to give a short intro and then we can launch in?
Yeah, well, I'm a engineer and scientist. Part of Ryan's story, I guess I have a little bit of hope there in the sense that I have a friend, Charles Pellegrino, who was a victim of cyber stalking, which ruined a nonfiction book that he did. He's one of the earliest cyber stalking people I knew, where you had a group of people. It was a nonfiction book about survivors of Hiroshima and Nagasaki. They set up a fake website, and that was supposedly for the families of the pilots of the planes, complained to the Associated Press and New York Times, who then reported the cyber stalking stuff without investigating it, and it caused a pile-on effect on the book. So the publisher withdrew the book from publishing and also refused to give him the rights.
Wow.
And so he had to fight to get the rights back and also rehab the book. But it has a happy ending. He's come up with a sequel book called Ghosts of Hiroshima, which was on the New York Times bestseller list just a month or two ago.
Okay.
And it will also be James Cameron will be doing a movie based on the book. It will be his next movie after Avatar 3.
Amazing.
Oh, nice. Yeah, that's nice.
So that's quite a comeback.
I had no idea.
And Charlie originally did. He was in a tough spot. He couldn't fight back financially. So it was a long fight for him.
Well, thank you for that glimmer of hope in the midst of, Ryan and his dire circumstances with this publisher. That's really inspiring. Thank you for sharing that. So, Jeff, would you like to kick it off? Do you want me to set the questions for everyone?
Yeah, could you set the questions? Do you have the energy for that?
Totally set. I've got the energy for all sorts of things. Why not? So, to our ad hoc panel here, how do you know when an idea is weird enough for your audience versus just confusing? So how do you strike that balance? Shall we start? Does anyone have any energy to start this off? Or I don't want to call on people like this is grade school.
Oh no. I think I'm a novice in here. I thought I was doing stuff until I came in here and I found out I haven't done anything at all. And I'm really honored to be in the company of you all. You all are awesome people. Everybody.
Likewise.
Yeah. So yeah, I mean, I know that when it comes to having an idea, I kind of like gauge it and talk to people about it and put it out there. And I know not everybody has the same thought process, because I know sometimes we think it could be the greatest since sliced bread, but other people are kind of like, that's kind of so. So a lot of times I try to just basically put stuff out there. A good example is I just came out with an idea with steampunk magical elves. I call it the SP, the SP guild, the SP, the steampunk guild, and basically it's like little elves in a little place. It's a children's story, and I've been putting it out there, and it's been getting a lot of it's one of the most simplistic things, but people like it. So sometimes I'm thinking the simpler the better. Maybe we sometimes put a lot of stuff into it. That doesn't mean it makes it bad, but sometimes I think simplicity sometimes overrules, depending on what you're trying to put out there. But that's for me.
You just reminded me of one of my favorite quotes, which is, "Perfection is attained not when there's nothing left to add, but when there's nothing left to take away." Yeah.
Oh, that's a cool quote.
Yeah. Would you like
I like that on the creative process. I was just saying that's a really cool quote in general about the creative process, but I will say that I do in fact sometimes have to think about, is something weird enough for my audience? And I think some of it also depends on how often you interact with your audience. I am a terribly prolific author. When I'm in a place where I'm doing a lot of writing, I can write so much that I tend to overwhelm my audience and give them more to read than they actually have time to read, in terms of, gosh, would I do this for fun? Now, the modern audience seems to have less attention span as we are more locked into our phones anyhow. But I do always end up thinking, all right, well, what is the hook? What makes this unique? And the thing is that since I work in all these weird fantasy worlds, and frankly, I'm a kind of weird person, I'm actually more often looking to see how I can bridge. This is weird. How can I make it work for other people? As opposed to, is this weird enough for my audience? I think making it weird enough for my audience is not always that hard for me. Making it something that the audience doesn't say, "What the heck? That's really weird." Um, that's difficult. Um, there's a great story that when Norman Mailer was a theater critic for The Village Voice, without seeing Waiting for Godot, he heard about what it looked like, might have read the script. I don't know the exact story. Panned it completely. Then he went to see it and realized it was one of the most brilliant plays of all time. And because he was no longer a columnist for The Village Voice, he took out a full page ad in The Village Voice, writing a new review and apologizing, which I'm going to say that's an example of something that was too weird for even Norman Mailer, too weird for even a very weird audience, even though the actual genius in that work eventually bridged the gap when he actually saw it.
Yeah, sometimes
That's one of my favorite
weird needs to
examples.
percolate a bit, doesn't it, for people to finally get it, if they ever do. Yeah. Ryan, Ed, do you want to chime in with how where you decide that barometer is of weird versus confusing or too weird?
I mean, for me, I just try to make everything relatable. That's been the big thing about writing my series or really writing anything. I want to make sure that people can put themselves in my characters and they can feel what they feel or they can see what they see or go through the same thing that we all go through. Because, at the end of the day, we're all human. We all feel the same. We all have the same emotion and somebody's going through something, they may not say it, but they're still going through that internally. So I always try to make it, relatable. Um, you can kind of play around with it and make your own little twists and turns and quirks and make it unique. And that's the great thing about every book. It's kind of their own. It follows the same principles, but you made it their own. Um, Listen to your readers, whatever the readers are telling you, whatever the feedback is from your arcs and your team and your peers, that other writers that you've shown. Generally those are the ones that are going to be honest with you and say, hey, you need to do this, or this is just too kind of mind boggling that I can't understand it.
Fair. Thank you, Ryan. And Ed, would you like to share how you decide where the balance is?
Well, I'd say I have some I have some writer friends who've done some pretty wild stuff, and kind of they said a weird is in the eye of the eye or the mind of the beholder, um, in terms of what strange is. But
That's true.
in
That's very
yeah,
true.
in writing, it's kind of anything goes, along those lines. And I can think of some pretty wild stuff. There's, even if you look at Harlan Ellison's original Dangerous Visions, there's some pretty wild stories in there too. Along those
All
lines.
the dangerous. I think that was the idea of the dangerous vision stories. I agree.
Right, which really shook people's minds back then, when it first came out. And it's another dream that was unfulfilled in Harlan Ellison's lifetime, but is coming out now finally. The last Dangerous Visions. He intended to have a third collection, and J. Michael Straczynski actually made that happen.
I didn't know that.
Yeah. So it's available from JMS's publishing house.
Good to know. Thank you for that.
So I get this.
On the
There we
topic of relatability, there's your face. Hi, face.
Yep.
Nice to see you.
Oh, there you are.
On the topic of relatability, I just want to springboard off something that Ryan said, specifically because I'm sitting here with several, I don't mean to assume your genders, but male presenting authors, and I'm wondering how challenging do you find it, or maybe not challenging at all, to make things relatable for characters of other genders? Is that difficult? Is that something like, is there a process that you have to help you get into the mind of, a gender that you don't inhabit or identify with?
I, I know with me, I've got a childlike mind anyway. so,
Same.
yeah, I have a childlike mind anyway. So it was easy for me to get into the steampunk slash dwarf and elves, kind of like having fun. Something that I would think that like Ryan's sons would enjoy, being like 5, 6, 7, them going on different adventures. So I had to think back, and at the same time, I wanted to have at the end of the story, I wanted to have life lessons in it. So I thought about what kind of life lessons would I like, because I have a 14-year-old daughter, and I was like, what kind of life lesson would I like this story to talk about? So I know, like, my first story, I wanted it to be about coming together, cooperating, and sharing, and how that is very important in everyone's life. So as I was writing the story, it was just about trying to put them in a situation where they had to show themselves doing it, and if they didn't cooperate and share, things weren't going to happen. But as soon as they realized what they were doing and they learned the process, then things could work out. So that's the way it worked for me, just trying to get into a childlike mind and not only talk about it but show them, give them examples.
That makes sense. Thank you. Anyone else want to jump in with what their process is or how they?
I will say that part of my process right now, because my book is kind of about what is worth creating, what's worth making, what's worth building. As a, I'm not just alternative. I have kind of been canceled, which um, means that I get a little more criticism than most folks. And it's led me a lot to thinking about what's purposeful about creating art and why we create art. And I decided to write a book about it, but I decided that if I had it just as something autobiographical, it'd be kind of boring no matter how exciting I might think or hope my life is. Um, Whereas somehow when I write about dwarves doing it, I want to have to figure out, well, how would dwarves think about the way this works? How would dwarves do this? What would a dwarf ethos be? How would I fit that into a fantasy universe I would create based on what we sort of know about dwarves from Tolkien or tradition or other things versus where I'm kind of trying to go? And fitting those two things together, I admit my previous two novels, I knew exactly where I was going right from the start. This is the first book where I think part of me knows where I'm going, but I don't actually know what's happening. And I'm currently taking Zen stories and looking at them and saying, okay, I'm not going to use that story, but I like that concept. I think I understand a piece of this. How would I have dwarves express that if they were arguing with each other?
Interesting. Thank you. Ed, do you want to share anything on your thoughts of how you like inhabit the mind of other beings?
Well, what I've been doing is kind of I have a couple of hobbies that sort of stir my imagination a little bit. One of them is urban exploration, and it's amazing because I found for instance a few weeks ago I joined with some friends. We found an abandoned mansion, fully furnished, by the Jersey Shore, and that the story based on our investigation was that the owner passed away of COVID-19. He was quite wealthy, and essentially the wife left to be with family on the West Coast. So essentially, the mansion is just sitting there, unoccupied, unused, and stuff. And it's just,
Oh no.
yeah, and it's kind of amazing to just go, just to go around the edges of it and stuff. And again, urban explorers, you just go, like we were going down by the shore and we have to come across this place. There's also a lot of things that were done, but it's like being in another world, and it starts to get us think, what happened? Who lived here? We did find the real story, but we had our own imagination. Gee, this could be a post-apocalyptic. You know, this was just left like this. Better keep an eye out
My
for zombies
headcanon
just in case.
Yeah, exactly. It's patient zero of the zombie apocalypse. What were you saying, Jeff?
I was saying that is my headcanon. As far as I'm concerned, that's exactly what happened.
There you go. That's right. Only the names have been changed to protect the guilty.
How about so everybody researches for work that they do, chasing down rabbit holes. What's the strangest or most unconventional research method you ever used to make your fringe world feel authentic?
Ooh.
Well, my wife
I
has
have-
a tool called
sorry.
the Story Builder Tarot, and we basically will do, when we're have writer's block or something. You lay out a spread from the Story Builder's deck, and that'll always help get
Oh,
things
that's
moving again.
That
cool.
sounds super fun. Yeah.
That does. That sounds really fun.
I was
Yep.
waiting for somebody to try to justify their trip to the Amsterdam red light district or something. No, it's for research. No. Jeff,
Yeah,
Alfonso?
that's what Greenwich Village was made for.
Exactly, right?
I mean, that is what Greenwich Village was made for. Basically, yes. I thought that is where I learned to have a lot of weirdness. Certainly. Um. Yeah, I don't know. I've had a lot of trouble finding situations that were normal enough that I had trouble making something weird out of them. But I will say that some of that actually going back to the same thought, um, because I'm not entirely doing traditional things with. I have a cheat for this. I should just totally let you guys know that I have a cheat for how I appear to want to do this, which is in all three of my Dark Lord books, the two that are published and the one that's being written right now. Um, almost all the human characters have um, basic American style or sometimes British style English names. There are a couple of names with Hebrew influences, but it's mostly the Dark Lord's name is Alice. The protagonist's name is Sam. Her name has been Alice for 2 books. It's probably going to keep being Alice. Um, and what I need to do then is bridge the gap between, well, why do they have the same names as here? Which um, at the moment I'm just doing with an explanation saying sort of, well, they do. And then I'm going to actually, as I keep writing the book, figure out whether I think that we're going to need a lot more explanation. Like, is this exactly the same Earth? Or can I talk about whether it's an alternate Earth or not? Do I have to? I don't actually know yet, to be completely honest with you on that. It just switched to center me the minute I, of course,
I know. I was all
finished
late on
what I was
the
going to say.
late on the
Centered on
trigger,
me.
and then yeah.
Oh, you're beautiful. You're perfect on this.
Here, Alphonse, you're now center stage. No pressure. Oh, I'm sorry. That's my fault. I muted Alfonso. Sorry.
Oh no.
There's a large church
First of all,
revival going on next door.
I have a church that's next door to me, and they're getting louder and louder. So I'll make this brief because you can hear I'm like wrestling with them.
No, it's good. You're drowning them out now. Go
Okay, no
on.
problem.
Yeah, your sound is great.
Basically, as I've said, my life is a fantasy. They said Kramer on
Go ahead.
my life is a fantasy football game. So so I haven't done anything really normal. So what I do is I just look at different situations that I've traveled and try to take different pieces and from my mind where I've been and everything, and I try to put it together and take it to the next level. I mean, I've never actually seen a fairy. I've never seen a dwarf, but I have been steampunk. So I
You
yeah,
sure
yeah.
have.
So I know some of the outfits I would like them to wear and some of the things I'd like them to tinker with. It's just a matter of now putting in some of those magical situations I've seen, like with the Hobbit and other magical shows and things. I have friends here who actually make little fairy houses. So I tend to look at those things and say, okay, if this was a situation, I wonder how they would act, how it would be. So once I put all that together, it basically starts coming alive itself. It's really amazing how you can make something out of nothing, or how you can bring an idea.
Yes.
To me, that's part of the magic itself. To bring something that's something out of your mind and bring it to something that's really real in this world of reality, and then give it to other people, and and just run with it. So yeah, so that's what I usually do.
Nice.
Mhm.
Thank you.
That's really cool.
I love this next question because it's something that I think we all have to sort of be on the lookout for. In a world full of algorithms and trends, how do you protect truly odd ideas from getting sanitized?
Hmm.
That's a tough one. One of my other interests is what's called hacker culture, computer hackers and stuff. And there's a convention called Hope, Hackers on Planet Earth. It's now annual. It happens in Queens, Queens, New York, at the St. John's University campus. But when they first moved to St. John's, they put out a notice to thousands of people on Gmail. Gmail saw the word hacker and edited all of those. So they freaked out because all of a sudden we got like almost no response. Oh my God, what's wrong? And they figured it out that Google had censored all of the emails that had the word hacker in it. So all of their invites, and they had to have a discussion with Google about that.
Oh my gosh.
So even Gmail can censor you.
Oh, 100%.
It's like the old joke they had on the Microsoft ad where it's like dissing Google, and they said they had the Google mailman, and it's like this little girl goes, "Google mailman, do you read my mail?" And I said, "No, little girl, I don't read your mail. I read everybody's mail."
Oh gosh.
Oh my God, that's crazy.
It's true too.
Gmail limits you too. They limit you to 500 emails or less with every 24 hours. So you try to send a massive newsletter and it takes like 4 days to send it because you're limited of how many people you can send to as well.
Just to
I would
reset
use-
the question,
Go on.
sorry, for Ryan, because he wasn't here. The question we're discussing is, in a world full of algorithms and trends, how do you protect truly odd ideas from getting sanitized? So sorry, Jeff, you were saying?
No, I was just going to agree. I actually have a personal account that's been blocked by Google for Gmail for years, just because I think when I got canceled, it was reported as spam. It's one of those things where the unintentional consequence, the goal of preventing spam also makes things, for example, messwithable if you know what you're doing, which is unfortunate, but it is what it is.
Which is awful.
Yes, it's
That's
also
what it
awful.
is.
It's also awful. It is also just plain awful, but yes.
Well,
But
and I
yeah,
mean,
go ahead, Ryan.
everything's cracking down on that too. You know what I mean? It's not just. I mean, some of the emails I send to is not just Google. They're like corporate emails or they're Microsoft emails, and I mean, sometimes all that, if you've got certain character links or too many images or too many, words, it'll filter you out by there as well because it thinks you're spam.
Yep. So I
That's
mean
very true.
that's you talk about how AI and that the electronic world goes against you. There's a whole level of censorship that's becoming worse over time, I think.
And do you find yourselves self-censoring for the algorithm, or like having to fight the impulse of like, I can't include this thing that I want to include because, the algorithm's not going to like it, or, it might get rejected based on that. And can you give us an example of a time that you've had to do something like that?
No, I mean, so the algorithm really works with engagement. So out of all the platforms, engagement should be your biggest goal, your biggest hype, the biggest thing that you're looking for. So, you need to post every day, which I generally post every day on about 10 different platforms. I've been behind a little bit because been a little bit busy with me writing music, but you want to post every day, and then you still just put what you're gonna put. Um, but you want engagement, so you want something that's engaging, or people react, or they repost, or they like, or they comment, or anything along that lines. That alone will beat the algorithm more than just spamming the social media 20 times in one day, because it's all about engagement.
That's very true. That's a
Yeah,
very good test. Although it is funny that we are trying to figure out what's going to make the computer happy, so the computer decides to show us to other humans. And before you can get that to happen, you kind of have to convince the computer that other humans are going to like you in advance. It's you need to get through the computer to get to the other people, which is not how Facebook was when it got started, for example. Not
It's
anywhere
not,
near so much.
it's not the dream of the internet that we were peddled, even though it was like an illusory dream of, humans connecting to one another. I mean, it was all military industrial stuff, but whatever. Okay, moving swiftly on from my conspiracy theorist politics. What's your personal ritual for dealing with the isolation that comes with creating weird work? Because writing is kind of a solitary act. Is it something that you find difficult to bear with, and how do you do so, if so?
I mean, it can be, but we're all connected in one way or another. I mean, I don't know how many times I talk to people from Australia or London or India or really across the globe every single day. So it is independently, but we're all connected because we're writers, or we're illustration people, or we're steampunk people, or we're event people, or whatever case we do. We all kind of fall under that umbrella of entrepreneur trying to live our dream. So it
That's
can
true.
be, but as long as you stay connected with people, and I know life's busy, but even like once a week, if you got kids or dogs or whatever the case may be, and just say, hey, how's it going? Just load on me and tell me everything about you've been doing in a whole week. Like, I'll listen. It kind of not becomes so isolated, because we're all connected. And I mean, no matter where I go and all my travels and everything I've seen, if that's kind of the one thing I've learned, is that it don't matter where you are in the world, it don't matter who you are, you're all connected to somebody. And we all search for that. That's the most basic kind of thing a human searches for, is that connection, that it makes us thrive and grow, and everything that we're wanting is just a connection. We want to feel known and wanted.
Agreed.
Anyone
Yeah.
else? Do you feel solitary? Like, do you feel there's a difference between aloneness and loneliness, but do you feel an aloneness during writing that you've had to create coping mechanisms around to be able to get through it?
No, I mean, I normally blare YouTube music when I write, so I kind of drown out the world when I write anything.
That is one of the things of writing, right? Like, yeah, the flow state and
Yeah.
being able to play in your own mind.
Yeah, there's a writer I knew, Frederick Brown, who's famous for what's called the short story, in
Oh, you met
fantasy and
Frederick
science
Brown.
fiction. What?
Oh, you met Frederick. You know Frederick Brown himself. I've
I knew him.
read
Yes.
his short stories for years. Oh my gosh, that's really
Yeah,
impressive.
he wrote the short story Arena that was used in Star Trek. For one thing, that was one of his stories. But one of the things that was a trick for him was, in order to create the kind of writer space he needed when he had writer's block or something, he'd go on the subway, and he'd just go from stop to stop. He'd travel all around.
Right.
And the sheer boredom of traveling around on the subways and also seeing all the people, he would study the people, and he'd start with his notebook, he'd start writing down, and that was kind of his process when he got stuck, and there was always, I mean, you've been on the New York City subways, there's always something going on, so he kind of stirred his imagination.
The subway is totally people watching par excellence. Yes.
Yep.
Jeff, is there something that you want to share about?
I put on Iron Maiden's Power Slave, and I keep that playing until I have something written. It's as simple as
You
that.
just power right through it, huh? The only way out is through. Gotcha.
It's about 9 minutes long.
Fair.
So yes, absolutely that.
What is the weirdest piece of feedback you've ever gotten from a niche fan, and did it change anything you made later?
Mm-hmm.
That is a great question.
It is.
Aren't you glad you wrote it?
I borrowed that particular question.
Well, you borrow well. So anybody gets any weird feedback ever, and did it impact you?
I got really good feedback lately, but it was weird to me at the time, as I was working on the novel and posting to my Patreon, and I had my Patreon doing something completely different for a while. So having it come in and be about my writing again, which it hadn't been for a couple of years, has been a little peculiar for the Patreon. So it hasn't gotten a lot of people visiting lately. Um, and I posted something that was a longer piece that I was working on, sort of thinking this is kind of interesting lore. I wonder how people take it. And someone read it really closely and said, "This is interesting. I actually need more background. Can you tell me more about how this works? This is not a complete short story. I think it's just complete in your head." That was really, really helpful. Dr. Bork may be muted. Let me see if I can unmute him if so.
And let me, oh, you know what? Let me get him on. He's not muted, but I'm going to drop out a video so that you can see him as he's speaking. Oh, wait, that's not the way to do it. This is the way to do it.
I will also drop out a video for a sec.
There we are.
All right.
Welcome back, Doctor.
Yeah, so I just released an article in Skeptic Magazine on declining public trust in elites and experts. And I got this 4-page rambling manifesto about chemtrails and global warming from someone who I'd never met before. Like, it was an envelope sent to my office at University of Arkansas, just filled with like the most like inspiration I've ever gotten in my life. So I framed it and put it up on the wall. It did not help me at all. It was just very amusing.
Was it just like one little note, or was it like crammed full, like a filled envelope?
It was a filled envelope. It was 5 pages of just like rambling gibberish, chemistry and science by someone who probably doesn't understand it. Written like it's the weirdest like rambly schizophrenic thing I've ever gotten. But like it was mailed out with like in handwriting to me specifically and sent to my office in Arkansas.
That sounds a little intimidating, honestly.
Yeah, and like I think they liked me from the tone of it, but you can't actually tell because like it was all over the place. I apparently attracted some sort of schizophrenic crazy person as a fan. He doesn't believe in global, or who thinks global hoax.
They certainly liked you enough to spend all that intense energy writing out
the
street. So.
Like this is a sustained effort to be as weird as possible towards me. I'm like, my doing public.
You know, congratulations to them.
Yeah.
So I'm interested to know what you guys think about this one, because what is the biggest myth around creating for alternative or fringe audiences, and how do you prove it wrong in your own work?
Well, academia. So we actually just got a rejection letter for an article we've been working on, and they clearly didn't read the article before like sitting in the review. They're like, there was no section talked about this. I'm like, there's 4 pages about that. There's this part was missing. I'm like, no, it's right there on page 17. Like, so yeah, it's really weird, like getting reviewed in academia.
People who intentionally just don't want to see what you're doing are fascinating, and it's interesting how they can influence the narrative. Like, you do have to actually buy a book for Amazon to really care significantly about your review. But if you buy a book, and you can buy some books fairly cheaply, you can leave a fairly wacky review that has nothing to do with the book, and it's Amazon is not necessarily sure to take it down, even if the review is for another book, for example. It's and if you get a bunch of negative reviews that say something happened in the book, Amazon is more likely to believe that thing happened in the book. And Amazon itself doesn't actually go and read your book usually. You usually have to make some kind of appeal. It's a rather weird process, the whole thing.
Yeah.
Amazon's not. I mean, it's great for selling books, but they're not always like author friendly or review friendly. They, just I feel like sometimes they just go on a clicking spree, approve, and then you get some really wacky stuff. Like I had a review on my old edition of book one, and it had nothing to do. It was more like a Super Mario review, and somehow Amazon approved it. And I'm like, this is not my book. This has nothing to do with the story. And I try to appeal it, but Amazon's like, oh, it's verified. It's okay. And I'm like, Did you read the review?" Like, it has nothing to do with it.
Out of curiosity, I'm wondering what are some myths that authors hold, even if you yourself don't hold them. Some myths that authors believe around creating for like a fringe / alternative audience.
I am not sure. I mean, I tend to just write what I write, and I'm good at fantasy. I'm really suck at anything else I write besides music. And if people like it, they like it. I mean, if they don't, then hey, that's okay. There's someone else down the line, you know. Like, um, yeah, I don't know. I haven't met a lot of kind of wacky people, I guess you'd say. I I
I mean, you
met
know
a
us. No,
That's
well,
true.
you know, you're not really wacky to me. I mean,
you have
people.
no idea, my friend. We just met tonight. Give me time. Like
Give
10
me
minutes. I'll be
chance.
quick. Okay.
Well, you know, I was supposed to go to New York to meet everybody, but that got kind of hosed too. So, you know, I don't know. My 5-year-old and 6-year-old, they're 10 months apart. They're pretty wacky. They're a double trouble. So I don't know. I've raised boys, so I'm used to the wild and craziness of people.
Well, I know if you're talking about bad reviews, my friend Charlie got an amazingly bad review. In fact, he loved it so much he had it framed and put it over his desk. And it was a novel, an ecological thriller he did. It was a novel. It's apocalyptic, and the man wrote, after reading that book, I've been unable to experience physical love with a woman. was basically the punchline on that one. And he thought, oh man, I really moved that person.
Or unmoved him. That is impressive. That's a great deal of impact. Maybe not.
And Charlie's
really.
like, it's a bad review. Charlie's like, no, I'm gonna frame that, and he did frame it.
It's not a bad review. My book neuters people. Look at the power, the incredible power.
That's right.
It's good marketing.
Right? Husband bothering you? Give him this book.
Right.
So let me see. I think. Does anyone else want to chime in with the myth question? Because if not, we're to the, I think, final question of this round, which is, if you could give one piece of advice to a creator who's burned out on pushing boundaries, what would it be?
I mean, just keep doing your thing. You know, you got to be you. You just keep being you and never give up. I guess that's the moral of it. Never stop. You know, I couldn't tell you how many times people have said I couldn't do this or I couldn't do that or I wouldn't do that or whatever. And you just don't stop. I mean, you can ask my wife, my boys, you know, we've traveled miles and hours on day with a 5 6 year old that will not just get along and everything else. And when I pull up to the hotel that night, I'm still like posting my social media posts and checking emails and doing all that stuff no matter what time or day it is. So you just got to be consistent, never give up. The work will pay off in the long term. It just may take a little bit to see the hard work pay off. You know what I mean?
That is a great argument for tenacity, Ryan. Um,
I like this. Somebody once asked Stephen King, why do you write horror fiction? And he said, well, why do you write in the horror genre? And he said, what makes you think I have any choice?
Oh, wow.
He's extremely disciplined. King writes almost every day. He does it 6 days a week. He locks himself in his room and he spends a couple of hours making sure he writes something every day. He gives himself certain, most of the holidays and also the first day of the baseball, Red Sox Stadium. But other than that, he basically makes sure he writes every day. And even when he was semi-retired, he was still writing. He just said, I'm just putting it in a safe." But I said, "I have to write."
That is someone
You
whose muse is working overtime. Yeah, sorry, Dr. Bork, is that you?
Yeah, I would just say I'm kind of an opposite approach. Like I've learned how to give myself permission to take a break sometimes. Like take all the projects, set it down, and just like take a week, not be that person, and like recharge my batteries and like go out and find get away from all of it. Like sometimes the grind is just too much, and it's like you do better if you take a break and then come back to it. In my opinion.
I see
I
that
mean,
Jeff. Oh, go ahead. Sorry, was that Ryan?
no, it's okay. I was gonna agree with him. I mean, you do. Sometimes it can be overwhelming with everything, and I mean, it's like everything else. As long as you're consistent with it, even if it's 5 minutes a day. I mean, the small habits will form bigger things down the future. You know what I mean? But sometimes people kind of get overwhelmed, or they need some time to creatively like think how the story will go, or what they're going to write next, or what they're going to do, or I mean, I can't imagine like traveling like every single day. I mean, eventually at some point you're just going to want to fall over and sleep for 5 days and get away from everybody.
Yeah.
Fair.
And it's just, I think too, like if you push too hard to like, I think there's a difference between getting into a rhythm and then like that's one challenge, right? To like learn how to be a writer and learn how to be creative and practice and practice and go and go. But I think like once you kind of got the good habits, like it's important to take the break because you can get lost in the projects and you can kind of forget who you are or what you're doing it for, and like then you're just like grinding and doing chores at some point, and like it kind of just makes it feel, yeah, it stops being special because like you're just doing because like you have to do it. And at that point, it's good like go for a walk, go for a little vacation, go visit somebody, go do something that isn't what you do, isn't your passion. Just to, like remember like why you like doing it in the first place.
Yeah. I think the first time I really got into writing, like where I really felt flow state take over, it was honestly really intimidating because I had this idea to write something. I sat down to write it, and it took me only about 3 or 4 hours. Like it was a short piece, but in that time, whatever was compelling the writing to pour out of me was like not letting me get up and satisfy my hunger or go pee or anything. And it was like I felt trapped, like encaged, and it was kind of, it almost made me afraid to reapproach the writing because I felt so kind of out of control. Does that make sense? Like, is that just a weird, crazy thing? Okay, I
Yeah.
see Jeff nodding over there from the
Mhm.
backstage. Yeah, and it was really intimidating and took some getting used to like be able to meet that with grace and not feel so tethered by it all the time. So I totally vibe with what Dr. Bork is saying.
Yeah.
And speaking of Jeff in the backstage, oh, go ahead. Were you going to say something?
Yes. So actually, in the last 6 months, I found out I have cyclothymia with hypermanic tendencies or hypomanic tendencies. So it's basically a really minor form of bipolar. So if I get into like what you'd call a flow state, I will get like every single project done. But if I don't take care of myself, I can lose like weeks at a time and like not eat, not socialize, not do anything. And I'm like, and I come out of it and I'm like, I've got all these like somatic injuries and I've like lost sense of reality. And it's like I have to not overdo it.
Yeah, it's really hard though when you're in the midst of it to like find that balance. At least personally, from myself at least. So I want to bring on Jeff from the backstage. I don't want to yank you out of there, Jeff. Please do come of your own accord. I'm going to drop out so we can fit you. And he's going to set up our next.
Absolutely. I actually was about to check with our panelists. So, as folks watching this know, of course, we had a bunch of technical difficulties as I haven't done a live stream before. So, unfortunately, a large part of our rather larger audience wasn't able to make it in to see this stream. Um, I am pondering, since I know Ed has a bit of time, but not a lot more. I'm pondering possibly if we could combine or pick one of the next two pieces because they're both kind of improv pieces. What we have is the game Pirate Brag, which gives us a structure that we can play with, and I've shared the other panelists on a Google document about it. This is the sort of thing that's definitely fun for me, but I'm good at improv. And the other one is an improv where we design a wacky convention. I figured that we would all be tired and punchy. I'll be honest. It's been a long, long Black Friday. I think we're all a little tired and punchy. I'm not bad if we just want to jump to the idea of how we'd create the zaniest, wackiest, weirdest convention ever. That'll give us an interesting improv piece that we could do, and we can do that for another hour or so while people have energy. And then, if anyone other than Dr. Bork, Ryan, and myself still has energy, we can either stick around for a small after party or we can see what the audience wants. Does that sound good to you guys?
Yeah.
Sure.
Excellent.
Don't know much about improv, but I can make it. I can make it up.
Well, that's I will. What I'm going to do really quickly is I'm going to think about how I would love to run this really quick, and I'm going to ask just one question. I think from. Let me pick one of the pre-prepared questions. I apologize, everyone. Give me a second. I was going to pick one of the pre-prepared questions. Oh, you know what? I apologize. May I jump to this really quick? Ed, I don't want to put you on the spot, but we were talking in general about which is more fun. I was hoping to do a rage bait sort of argument of magic versus technology. What do you think is more fun to write, magic or technology?
Well, I think there's room for both magic spells and microchips. But think of it. Every intentional act is a magical act. You can say, in the case of technology now with AI, it's starting the tech is starting to have an intention of its own, which can make things both interesting and scary. I was just reading an article this morning about just how deeply interwoven AI is in our lives now. Even the power that we get now is a part of AI. They use it to optimize the power delivery systems. So it's everywhere. It's all around us.
I had no idea, actually.
Yes, but you could say the same thing about magic.
How so?
Magic is all around us. It's when you're drawing your intention, you're drawing up energy and focusing it in a direction. The only difference is, like I said, AI sort of has an intention of its own. You could say that too if you call up spirits and such. They can have an intention of their own too, if you're not careful.
I feel like that's the source of quite a lot of fiction about magic, and as well as stuff actual magical practitioners tend to believe in.
Yeah, well, the analogy is interesting because some people have said AI is like the genie that you summon up and cannot control. And how many stories are just like that? There's even a movie out. Was it 1,000?
The Wishmaster?
No, I was thinking of a thousand years of anxiety, something like that. It was George Miller directed it. It was a movie, and it's a woman who is a folklorist who gets a lamp that has a genie, and she's immediately saying, every story involving genies has a bad end. He said, I just need 3 wishes from you. He said, you're not going to get one. Which ends up becoming a battle of will between the folklorist and the genie.
So I don't know where I picked this up. I think it's Christian, but it may not be. And I'm trying to figure out where I heard this. So the saying that I've been thinking about is, it's a version of "Be careful what you wish for, you just might get it." But it's Be careful what you pray for, because both sides get to hear it. So whenever you make a prayer, both people up there and down there get to listen in on that prayer.
Yep. And
there
was a short-lived TV series called Miracles. It was a fantasy with Skeet Ulrich, and the basis for that was a book by an English theologian who said there are miracles on both sides. And one of the key things they did in that series was they investigated so-called miracles. But the question is, there are divine miracles and there are also diabolical miracles.
Oof.
Yeah.
And they had to, that was part of it to determine which was which.
Yeah.
I mean, true. I guess some things they say, well, it happened for a reason. Like I believe everything happens for a reason. So sometimes the bad things that happen are actually like that diabolical miracle because then it turns into something good or something that you didn't, you would never think it'd be like positive, I guess, or divine.
Yeah.
So, I mean, very well true.
Yep.
It's also-
One of the episodes on that series, they had developed a medication which people who have locked-in syndrome, therefore they cannot move their body even though their minds are active.
Oh God.
They developed
that-
a medication which can allow them to move, but it puts them in sort of a hypnotic state, a very receptive state. And the people investigating realized very quickly that they're creating a perfect vessel for demonic possession.
This
Oh,
is not
wow.
the John Scalzi series, is it?
So yeah, they're unlocked, and they now have a demon riding in them.
Oh God. I did not know that it was going to go there. That's frightening.
Yeah.
Actually,
Well,
one of my
sorry,
favorite-
story ideas, and good and bad.
One of my favorite stories that's been done times is Forbidden Planet, which is also Michael Crichton's Sphere, which is also an episode of King Planet, which is the idea of a wish granting machine. And basically, like the problem is like the things you subconsciously or in the back of your head are things that are really, 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 really bad for everybody else, including and then ultimately yourself. It's like the idea of like, well, I want
Monsters from the
satisfied,
id.
like, yeah. I think Forbidden Planet's my favorite version of that, although Sphere is also pretty good.
Yeah.
But it's like, yeah.
I thought
I
Sphere
actually
had a
thought
pretty
earlier,
ending, though.
one of my favorite tales from the crypt was this guy wants this woman to like fall in love with him, so he goes and gets a magic potion, so she's just like 100% all day, every day, completely horny for this guy. And then he tries to murder her, but he actually kills both of them, and then they go to the afterlife, and it's just her like never leaving him alone for the rest of eternity.
That's a little terrifying.
Yeah. Tales from the Crypt is a great show. I used to love Tales from the Crypt.
Yep. They even did a twist
Yeah.
on that in Supernatural. They had a coin which granted that granted wishes, and but it's cursed. And once the brothers realize what's going on, there's this all kinds of weird things are going on in the town. And one of them they found is that the guy who first dropped the coin made a wish for this girl to fall in love with him, but it's driving him crazy because she's completely obsessed with making him happy. 24 hours a day, 7 days a week.
Yeah.
Oh,
Remember
boy.
that? That was a great episode.
Yep. Yeah, and a little girl who
Wasn't
brought
it
her
like-
bear back to life, or brought her teddy bear to life. Remember that?
Wow.
I do.
That was one of the stories in that episode. The teddy bear is trying to off himself. Why?
Sometimes
it's
it's
kind of
not
more like,
good.
even, like practical, non-magical level. Like, think about like how many men just like wanted like adventure, but not risk. So they got video games, and how many men wanted sex, but not relationships and commitment and real humans. So they just turned to porn. Like how many? There's like an ocean of people, of young men who like never launched or grew up because they got to be the Peter Pan syndrome. They just like, endless porn and video games, right? And in a lot of ways, like porn and video games was a granted wish for a lot of people. Destroyed like their entire ability to like grow up and make things.
That's right. And I remember just having some fun. I kind of made my niece and her husband fall over when we were watching Peter Pan with my little nephew, and he's like, "This is really cool." And then at the end of that, I just went to him and said, "Hey, Peter Pan is a cautionary tale, not a lifestyle choice." The parents just collapsed in laughter. He sort of got where I was going with that.
Yeah. Yeah, in a lot of
That's
ways, I
it.
mean, it's sort of this like perfect metaphor, right? The boy that never grows up.
Yes. A
Like it's a
cautionary
very
tale, not a
appealing thing, right? You
lifestyle
never take
choice.
on responsibility. Yeah. No, I think that's exactly right. Right? I mean, literally, his tribe are called the Lost Boys.
Yep.
Yeah.
I even love they did a nice twist on that in Hook, which they had a grown up Peter Pan, and he's a corporate
Yeah.
raider. And
I remember that.
the grown up Wendy said,
Yeah,
"Peter,
Robin
you've
Williams.
become a pirate." But
That was
that's
a really
because
cute
in
movie.
Peter Pan's world, all adults grow up to be pirates.
Yeah. But that was a
I
really
mean,
cute movie. I love
what
that
else
one.
would you
Yeah.
be as an adult in the Peter Pan world?
Yep. And there you go. That's
What about the
that's a
Native?
bit of magic there too.
Well, I guess the Native
Right.
American tribe, Billy's tribe, had some adults in it. But we never really meet them like for very long in the story.
That is true.
Yeah.
Yeah, we never quite get their story. You know, of course, there's the mermaids
Yeah, the mermaids are also adults. Well, no,
who are
mermaids
who
are
are playing
teenagers. Though.
around
They're
with
not like
Peter.
adult
Oh
adults. They're
man,
like, yeah,
that's it. Bad touch.
yeah.
Bad touch, Peter.
All right, fun question. Was Captain Hook born with the surname Hook, nicknamed after the accident? Like, was he born something Cook or Hook, or did he get the name later?
I
I guess it depends on your
That's a good
telling of that. It could be. I could see it either way.
It'd be quite incidents, right?
Yep. But in
Yeah.
the movie Pan, he was Peter. His name was Peter Hook.
Huh.
And that's certainly a reasonable English name.
Yeah.
Peter Hook's a reasonable name.
Yep. That's right.
What I was thinking was that it being just under the 8:45 mark, that I figured if Ryan's okay with it, if everyone else is okay, what we do is ask Ryan to talk just a little more about his story. We've dropped his GoFundMe into the event link, and then I figured we can go to the last segment of the night, which is going to be building the most impossible convention. So again, apologies for the technical difficulties. Some of our presenters were not able to stay the entire time. It's been a long time since we've done a virtual event. I'm really glad we've had such a good cause to try it, and I'm really grateful to all of our presenters and everyone who is watching. Special thanks to Tatiana and LS and other people, and LC. I figure if Ryan's okay, what I'm going to do is let Ryan take center stage for a few minutes and just gently prep a couple of wacky questions so that we can get to the funny, weird last bit of the night. Is that good for everybody?
Yep. I'm just going to need
Excellent.
to grab some water and stuff. So if
Perfect
turn off my
timing.
camera for a second, I'll be right back.
That is perfect timing.
Yep.
Oh, first, guys, I just really everyone that can hear this, everyone that has presented and talked and helped make this event great. Jeff, a lot of new people I've met here, a lot of great people, and all the listeners out there, the people that joined, commented, shared, everything like that. I just want to say thank you. I do remember the people that have helped me, and I do try to support local communities. I do try to support local people, and I do believe in the power of each of us helping each other and trying to make a difference and make a better world. One thing that I forgot to mention earlier, which is cool. I've been on London's international radio. I met a host there when I was at UK, and so she invited me to come on the air, and then I'll be on the air again. Um, I do. I've met a producer. He's an indie producer, and well, producer and kind of playwriter, but he is in the works of creating like a YouTube series or short series of my book. He really enjoyed the books I gave him, and he wanted to dive into fantasy. I do have some more things coming down the line, including a sixth grader that is going to get paid to do the prequels and a journal, Daniel's journal. So Daniel's one of the main character of my series, just really to help her creativity and help her kind of get the foundation that she needed, because I didn't really get that as a kid. So I had an eighth grade teacher. I told everyone I was going to be a writer. That's what I was going to do all in high school. Of course, when you do that in high school, you probably get made fun of the most because that's just not a cool thing in the middle of the country where everyone is farmers and big trucks. So it's not really a good thing to do. But hey, I did it and I was proud of it. I do love writing. I love seeing, the smile on people's faces. I love making a difference. If you love dragons, my maps originally created. If you love elves, magic, I made my own magic system. I made my own like English system, but I forget what it's called, but it's its own language system in the books. Then you will definitely love my series. I am also willing to help everyone. So like I said, I do try to help, and I'm very humble for everything and everyone that has helped kind of get me this far and been a supporter of the series and kind of an outcry, to make it happen, because I wouldn't be here without people that just said, hey, I'm going to give this guy a chance, or a bookstore that said, hey, I'm going to carry it, or I'll listen to his email and reply, or I'll call him on the phone, or, all those different ways. Excuse me. I do have, a lot coming on, but if you love dragons and elves and that, my maps I do originally create, so all of those places are uniquely made, and that only covers two ages in my series. So in my quest to write 300 books in the Spicy Romancy series and the World of Azerin and the Flare Chronicles, there is another map that I got to make for both series. That's kind of like a before the catalyst kind of happened. So if you love Dragonlance series, it's very similar to that D&D. Um, and I've been compared to Brandon Sanderson and a lot of different writers, Tolkien, that kind of thing here lately. So, I'm going to keep on going, and I've never been a quitter. So I'm not going to stop until the whole world knows my name, hopefully, with a bunch of other people that I can help support and give shout outs and really help pave the way for all of us writers, because we're all in it together. So, um, I believe my email is on there. If not, it's ryannoel921@gmail.com. You can text me, you can email me on all social media. Anytime anyone needs help, I'm always willing to help. So, I'm there. So, yeah, I'm not sure what everyone else wants to help or wants to know. Hold on, my boys. Have your brother help you, okay? Oh, yeah. We'll have him help. But yeah, all right, guys, having boys. So, yep, my wife works every weekend, and yeah, I'm here with 5 and 6-year-old and the dogs, and my 15-year-old's always working. So, we're trying to make it. We're trying to make things happening. But thank you guys for hold on. Thank you guys for everything. Oh, do. So I'm not sure what everyone's doing tonight. Um, and the other thing I'm kind of curious about, really, from that I want to see from people is, I don't know, Bubba, is what, where is people wanting to see me at, and what are they wanting to see next? I guess that's really my question to the readers out there and the people listening. Um, where is some areas people want to see me, what they want to see right next. I know a lot of people want the Spicy Romancy series to come out. They want to see the novellas, but yeah, I'd love to see where people want to see me at and that kind of thing. But definitely thank you guys for this, and thank you for everyone that's made it possible. Jeff, is there anything in particular you guys or Ed or anyone on here that you want to ask me or anything like that, I guess?
Well, and I'm definitely sorry, Ryan. I'm definitely curious. I mean, what do you figure your next move is now that do you think you're going to be able to get books from the publisher?
I don't know. I do have a plan, and I do have people in my corner. Obviously, this event, it went well and things like that. So I do have people really rallying the cry, I guess you'd say, and rooting for me. I'm hoping so, and if I can't, I'm hoping to get books to deliver to people, just because in bookshops, because there's so many out there, and they've been waiting for so long. Um, it it kind of sucks that the most of the holiday shopping is gone. I guess there's only a month left till Christmas. Not even that, it seems like. So that does, I feel sorry for the bookshops that were kind of counting on it for their sales, and all the local independent businesses and people.
Me too. Huh.
But I mean, I'm never gonna give up, never gonna stop. So my dad always told me that if you do something, make sure to do it right, or don't do it at all. And anything that is hard, or anything worth doing, is you're gonna climb a mountain to do it. So I'm gonna climb my mountain and keep on going, some way, some form, fashion.
I 100% agree with that. I know that feeling. Boy, do I know that feeling, man. And I appreciate it. I appreciate you, and I appreciate the chance to work with you.
Thank you. My hope is long term that I can, have my own publishing company where I can help people, especially indie authors that, because there's just so much out there in the realm of the internet that, it's hard being first time or still learning. Who do you go, and what do you do, and what do you look at? Even me, I'm still learning, but I remember being first published last year, and it was like, wow. The bookish community and book world's like massive, more massive than the video games I played or anything like that.
It is huge. It's a giant world.
It is. So I've always wanted to own my own bookshop too, and I want it'd be cool to have a physical one. But as much as we travel, and I'm already setting up events like Smut Lovers. I got invited to next year in Orlando, Florida. I got invited to London 3 times now next year. Well, UK, and not really London. Once in London and other times up north. And what else? I've been invited, wow, to Florida a lot, to Tennessee, to Texas, Ohio, Michigan, Iowa, yeah, Georgia, the Carolinas. So a mobile bookstore might be good enough. Might be the better route to go in that long terms. And my 5 and 6 year old, they always love to tell everyone I'm an author and Daddy writes dragon books. So they love helping and cleaning and doing anything and messing with our chickens and that. So I'm sure they'd be good help.
Ryan, my heart goes out to you. I think all our hearts go out to you.
Indeed.
I think we're getting ready for the last panel of the night. This is a panel / competition / improv / discussion for those who can for those who are up for it, given our technical difficulties, we'll do one more panel. And this one is Steal This Convention live blueprint session for the most ridiculous convention ever. We were going to do this in a little over an hour, but I think this is the right time. So here's what we're doing. Finally, when we're all tired and kind of punchy, we'll bring a bunch of creators together. That's these folks I'm with, and anyone in the audience who would like to talk or chat with us, and come up with funny, crazy, silly, ridiculous ideas for a convention, online or otherwise. Some ideas will definitely be online. Some of them will be offline. We'll take lots of audience thoughts if you guys have any suggestions or ideas, and we'll make up our own stuff too. I've got a bunch of ridiculous questions. We're going to create a ridiculous convention live and on screen for you. And I'm warning everyone here, the first couple questions are going to be the most ridiculous name. What would the most ridiculous possible name for an insane science fiction convention be? And then we're going to be like, what is a theme? What's the most ridiculous or insane theme? And next question we're going to go to, and we've got just a couple questions here. The next question we're going to go to is, what is the most ridiculous panel that can happen, especially at 3 a.m. on Saturday? So now I kind of think that some of these questions are a little bit hard to throw at everyone just off the top of your head. But if someone gives me any kind of prompt whatsoever, I will gladly start us off with a ridiculous event name.
So I'm terrible at naming things, but go on, Ryan. Sorry if you have an idea.
Nope, go ahead. I had a quick question about the 3 a.m. It reminds me of like a bad hangover and a beer tong. So,
yes, I mean, yeah, 3 a.m. on Saturday normally is, or I assume what they mean. I suspect what they mean is technically 3 a.m. Sunday. 3 a.m. on the day that had been Saturday is usually a pretty crazy day at any convention, festival, or event. Yes.
Yeah, I'm German, so Germans drink a lot. And you say 3 a.m. and it's the bar time or something along social hour, basically.
I was just going to ask if I could be in charge, whatever the name of the convention is, if I could be in charge of the glowy naked pool party of awesome again, because that was fantastic.
Yes, you could be part of the glowy naked pool party of awesome.
Thanks.
I guess if you have something from an actual event that sounds like it's from a ridiculous event, that would also do. I could use a prompt of any kind whatsoever. Wait a second, I can steal a prompt from Pirate Brag. Let's see. I'm gonna steal one. Dread Cthulhu Arisen from the Sea. Well, that's better than alternative universe where rum never existed.
By far.
All right. So this is my idea. I would love a science fiction convention that's not named after Cthulhu. It's not CthulhuCon or LovecraftCon. Those exist. There are some fine Lovecraft conventions out there, by the way. You should look them up. But just happening while Cthulhu has arisen but hasn't yet had time to devour all of us. So we're putting together a convention, let's say a last-minute online convention, and I guess I would call it something like Science Fiction and Fantasy for the Pre-Devoured, I think would be the name I would give it.
Yeah.
Well, I agree with you, young fella. That's adorable, Ed. That's really adorable. Has anyone else got a ridiculous name or concept they'd like for a science fiction event?
What if you could? Sorry, go ahead.
No, please. You were going to say.
So not the name, but like conceptually, what if you had? I mean, this would probably be more an event within a convention, not the entire convention itself. It could be something like the convention itself could be something about like the multiverse or whatever. But what if you, for a spell, dressed up as an alternate you somewhere in the multiverse? Oh, I think he's typing. Does he like that one? Okay.
Wait, I think Ed might have been accidentally muted there.
Yep.
I'm sorry. Were you talking, love?
Go in there.
Hello. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, good. Nope.
Were you saying something? Did I speak over you?
No.
I can't because I don't have a name.
What?
Hmm. Well, it's
I'm going to say
You know what?
I'm
You
gonna
could ask
say
the
Necrocon.
kids
convention.
first. That might be a great
No,
question for the,
Necrofauna.
instead of like the adults answering this question about like a wacky sci-fi names, let's ask the kiddos.
Yeah.
Yeah, they have no
That's a great
inhibition about
idea.
saying
Please
these
just
shit.
sit
Like,
down.
great.
We're almost done.
Okay, Ryan, your kids are now your
Yeah.
kids are now center stage at this mini convention because kids
Childlike
come
wonder
up with
and
great
yeah, and honesty.
My kids. Oh no, that would be pure
Yeah.
chaos.
That's what we want. I say go for it. Let them name the
Pure
convention.
Yeah.
Chaos Con. There you go.
Yeah.
Pure Chaos Con. That is a great. Wait a minute. That's a great name for a convention, though. Pure Chaos Con. Well,
Yeah.
It,
So
I'm
we're
gonna
already
say
off to a good start.
yeah, it would be. So generally if like I'll have friends that they're I know this is off topic, but generally if what I call them is double trouble or they're birth control because if I know friends that, their old ladies are talking about having kids, I'm like, "Hey, I got free babysitters right here. I got two kids." They will make her change her mind very quickly because my youngest boy is like age old sailor, very bad potty mouth, and just does whatever comes to impulsive to his mind. And then my middle boy tends to egg it on. Um,
Like them already.
yeah, he's telling me no right now, but he really does. You should see him in Driving Nine Out. Exactly. I've
I'm
proven my
genuinely
point.
curious though what their ideas would be for like the name of a sci-fi convention.
Yeah.
So they want to know the name of your sci-fi convention. What would the name of a convention, like an event, like an event? You know what's the name?
No,
You do
it's not my name.
no, like a big event where everyone went to.
What's the name of a big fun sci-fi party?
Oh,
You don't know.
no.
My
the big
my middle
science
boy
fiction.
says he don't know, but let me ask my youngest one. He's probably going to tell you 6'7" because that's the new trend, even though it means nothing absolutely at all. Yeah. Oh man, I'm glad they didn't see that. They would.
It's South
Yeah.
Park. There you go.
Hey, I got. They want to ask you a question.
Well, I read this because
So
yeah.
a big
In
event
their
people
defense,
went
when I
to,
was their
What?
age, I was
fancy
doing the
dragon.
DX
What
cross
would you
chop at
call it? They want to know.
everybody and telling like all the adults to suck it. I think I can really complain about
Hold on.
this.
Stop. All right. Do that again. Do that again. There you go. That was exactly the response that I got.
I can see it.
It's
What do
kind
you
of fun.
do?
Like I'm not gonna lie, it's stupid, but it's kind of fun. Like if I was young, I would totally get into it.
For
It
sure.
Tend
is
to be better than I
everywhere.
am. Yeah, and it'll
I'm
be
gonna
there for like a
place
month,
you.
and then we'll all get bored of it, and then the adults will do it, and then it won't be cool anymore, and then it'll fade away, like the Macarena and the trillion other things we've already done.
Yeah, well, I mean, once you get to a certain age,
Yeah,
the kids think you're old and lame anyways. I mean, that's what my 15-year-old says about me and my wife. We're old and lame because he's
yeah.
15 and thinks he knows everything. So, oh,
As did I when I was his age. Yeah,
I
we all
did
thought the
too. I
old
was
people
pretty
were lame when
wild.
we were their age.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
remember.
yeah, yeah. Young me knew everything. I had all the answers. I had it all figured out. Everyone else was an idiot, and
You were
then
the cutting edge of cool. Yeah.
yeah, and then that didn't last.
Yeah. So they didn't give me any fancy answers, but they said 6'7". So I mean,
I'll take
you could.
6'7". I will totally take 6'7". I'm gonna say for the next question, actually, I'm gonna do just a couple more questions while we got a little more time left. And go with, you know what? Perhaps we'll go with stuff that you've actually seen. Um, so I'm looking for this. Who would be your favorite guest of honor who is either dead, fictional, non-human, or some combination thereof? Mine right off the top would be Asrak the Lich from Tomb of Horrors, Dungeons and Dragons, 1977. That would definitely be my personal ideal convention guest for just about any convention. If you could have any convention guest, someone you admire, but someone who's a little bit offbeat, maybe anyone, who would it be? Living,
mean-
dead.
As a Christian, I will say Jesus. I think it'd be interesting to talk to Jesus.
It would be.
He's a cop out, but I'm going to go with it.
My
There you
oldest
go.
son would agree.
And I have questions, right? There's some shit I want to know about how the world works.
Yep. That's kind of like there was a graphic novel, GodCon, in which they summoned up and they had a convention with Jesus, Muhammad, and Buddha at the convention,
Oh yeah,
and a couple of gate crashers.
and the devil too, right? Like, I would be fascinated to meet the
Yes.
actual devil like at a convention. You know, like I have questions for that guy too.
That's right. Yes. So the devil
Well, I mean-
crashes. Yes.
Yeah,
I mean, if you've met me, at least you've got some people who believe that you already have. So points to you already on that.
There you
yeah.
go. But that's one name for a con, GodCon. There you go. I don't know.
God's
though.
on.
There was
Yeah.
actually also an episode of Supernatural where like all the gods and goddesses of like all the various religions are at like a hotel having a convention, right? I don't
Yeah.
think I
Yes.
imagine that.
Organized by
It's
Loki. Organized by Loki, as a matter of fact. Yes, by a trickster. I won't give any spoilers, even though it's rather old and supernatural. But yes, I was actually also thinking of that supernatural episode. Although
Yeah, I
I'm also
remember-
now thinking I'm thinking that supernatural episode where the boys showed up to a supernatural convention where supernatural was not real, and were trying to convince people they were actually Sam and Dean. That was a pretty
And it just
ridiculous.
said, you guys are really committed cosplayers.
That's what everyone said. You guys are really committed cosplayers.
That's right.
I think
I
for
can
me,
remember
it would be
Yeah, there was a scene with Ganesha, I remember. That was interesting. Because that's the one that stands out. The Hindu elephant god.
Cosplay is big. I mean, that's a big kind of area. You know what I mean? There's cosplay conventions everywhere, really, and every month it seems like, especially during the summertime.
I think it's really healthy for adults not to lose the love of playing dress up.
Yeah,
I agree.
I agree.
I've noticed I've got friends from like all different sort of like genres or into different kinds of music, but the one common thread amongst all my friend groups, like be they rock and roll and heavy metal or like Latin music or whatever, is they all love playing dress up. And I'm like, this is now my bar for people. Like, do you still like, being the kid inside? I think for me, if there's one person I could have. I mean, there's like so many good characters, right? Because I was thinking David Bowie's character in Labyrinth, but I think, and this is how you knew I was going to grow up to be kinky. My childhood crush was Tim Curry's devil character in Legend. That's what I wanted to con.
Hey, Legend. That's a cool character, though.
I would also throw out David
Yeah,
Bowie
rock
in The
those
Man Who
ones.
Fell to Earth. Where David Bowie plays a space alien.
Just David Bowie, period, and all the things.
Yeah, David
right?
Bowie was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, there was nothing not to like about David Bowie.
Yeah, no, there's nothing you can't like about David Bowie.
They even mentioned, was it in what was it Venture Brothers? They have this evil organization. They get to the core of the evil organization, and the secret master of the universe is David Bowie. And he just says, "Look, my agent said this was a really good investment."
I would totally accept that. I would just totally accept that.
Yes, but that's it. Investing in an organization of evil villains was of evil masterminds. So his agent said it was a really good investment.
We're on our last three questions. The next one's going to be just most bizarre convention rules. Most bizarre convention rules you could think of, or most bizarre convention rules you've actually had to live with. I will say one of the more bizarre convention rules that I've ever had to impose on anyone was no stealing ball pit balls. Not something I thought I'd be doing with my adult life, but that's an important rule. Was an important rule in my past life.
I think it would be fabulous to have a tea where you're not allowed to. You can feed anyone but yourself.
Oh, that'd be fun.
That is fun. That sounds like a neat idea.
I've been to a dinner like that, and it was so unusual and convivial and warm, and yeah, it was fantastic. And I would love more feeding other people and being fed.
That just seems like so British too. It's like, here, let me
Yeah.
feed you.
Oh, you can't be trusted with feeding yourself. Let me do it. Yeah.
Yes.
Tea's a big serious thing in UK and
No, no.
Britain. It's it's a
Oh yeah.
whole ritual over there.
You know
No
what might be a
sugar in
fun
your
role?
tea.
You know, like the door
What?
where like there's two people in the door and one person always tells the truth and the other person always lies. Right?
Yeah.
It's in
Yeah.
Labyrinth. That would be a fun
Yes.
role. Like split the convention up and secretly like, give everybody a note, and they either have to always tell the truth or they have to always lie.
Ooh,
Oh, that's
I
a
like
cool
that.
Wouldn't
concept.
that be fucking yeah?
Yeah.
Or like,
The
the
things
first
people
hour of
would
a convention,
say.
like the icebreaker, get to know each other. Like have everyone secretly be on one of the two teams. Keeping that up for an entire weekend would probably be annoying, but like an hour of that would be really fun.
Well, it's
That
kind
kind
of
of reminds me of some live action role playing events I've done. I've been the storyteller for a couple of LARP events for the White Wolf World of Darkness, and the trick is you're doling out little roles to everyone, and everybody has a little secret, as you're going through. So people have to talk to people to be able to piece together what's really going on, And then I just had my own like non-player characters to stir the pot and just
Nice.
watch how things evolve. Usually ends up towards pandemonium towards the end, which is great.
Which is what you want, right? Pandemonium is always a solid goal to aim for.
Yep. There you go. And of course, pandemonium, the place where all demons dwell. Pandemonium con? No. Condominium? No, that's condom. Yeah, that's no fun. That's okay now. Yes. But yes,
Condominium is
pandemonium.
great, but it's between condo and condom.
Yeah. Pandemonium con. You'd have to. It's a little bumpy, but that would work. The place where all demons dwell.
Well, I was thinking you could call it Panthacon and just do it like gods and demons sort of thing.
There's like a black eye, Mo.
Well, there is a con that I occasionally go to called Panthea, which was
I've heard
sort of a
Panthea
pagan
Con.
invention. What? And
Jeff,
another
thanks.
fun name was Ecumenicon, which is also like a ecumenical religious con.
I like it.
There you go.
How about what are some of the most weird or unusual cosplay costumes that you guys have ever seen? I will start right off by saying that I've seen people who are normal sized using not terribly complicated technical stuff to cosplay giant robots, which was very, very impressive. The first time I saw Godzilla costumes in person, it turns out you can just buy them, so it wasn't as weird as I thought, but it was people who were dressed completely normally, vanished for a little while, got into Godzilla costumes, then ran through the event, ran back to the hotel room, and came back and took off the Godzilla costumes.
Yeah, so cons I've only been to one really con. So I've been to several just bookish festivals, but a con I've only been to GeekCon in Evansville, and then I actually was a presenter and spoke at GeekCon, and I didn't see anything unusual, but you could pretty well find any nerdy little thing you wanted at that con. um I'm hoping to go to more next year if things work out. But uh, cons is a big thing. Like people are really, in Ohio they have their own little castle town of Renaissance and cosplay, and it's a thing. You know what I mean?
Absolutely.
I'm curious, Jeff, when you were talking about the person who did the robot dress up, were you talking about Secretary W. Ruff? The guy that dresses up in the amazing, he's got these ginormous conical breasts and these homemade weapons, and he's absolutely a force of nature, and I love him. And that
Yes,
was
I
my,
actually was speaking. That is the name of the person I was thinking of. Thank you for remembering that. I appreciate that a lot.
I adore him. Yeah, he's really really creative. He just comes up with the most wild. Like he doesn't cosplay existing characters. He just art directs these amazing outfits for himself and just slays every time.
That's cool. So is that how it? I mean, I know cosplay is kind of like that, but is that pretty well how it is at like those cons? Like people just kind of make their own costumes and
Yeah, I
things
think
like
there's some
that.
people who are very character driven. Like I was never character driven. I just like dressing up, and I think a lot of people are the same, just sort of putting together what you want in the aesthetic that you want. So
Mhm.
I'm a cyberpunk fan,
Yeah.
um, and yeah, so like I've actually made friends with people just based on the fact that our cyber goth outfits have the same color scheme. So because I'm a lime green and black person, and you know Jose Puertas, right, Jeff?
I do.
Yeah, so Jose and I totally became friends because we matched too well to not be at each other's side all night.
Okay, that's kind of adorable. I'm not going to lie. I'm going to transition towards a combination of the last question here and a good transitional question for heading out of this particular discussion and giving people a chance to get some rest after their long Black Friday. And that's going to be this. So, from this imaginary convention or just the convention we're at, or indeed any convention that gave you some sort of life lesson, good or bad, what life lesson would you take away? Um, I have, I can give you a couple of life lessons that I've taken away from events in general. One life lesson I took away from events is people absolutely can have too much fun. They can have a level of fun where they are just so exhausted that you can't program more fun for Sunday. And while you're supposed to do fun things, you do things you're absolutely sure are fun. You also do it with the knowledge that people probably will be tired and running on um, emotional fumes at that point. Um, that was a weird life lesson. You figure that every day is a separate day, but for a lot of people, a 3-day event, even if they only go to 1-day event, has a notable climax around the Saturday afternoon that people tend to feel and sense, and sort of a Saturday night energy, and then a Sunday calm down. That was one life lesson that I had not expected to learn before I was in events.
I think for me, the important health lesson was make sure you stock up on vitamin C while you're at a con, so you have less con crud on the way home.
Oh
Um,
God, yes.
oh God, uh, but I don't know. I guess the beautiful lesson was because the cons that you used to throw are very like we're very much the same sort of group of people going from one con to another, and I think what was really important for me to learn, having not been at a whole lot like a lot of other kind of fetish cons or even steampunk cons or whatever, is that there can be something that just because things look smutty from a distance or from their marketing doesn't mean that there's not an incredible childlike sense of glee and innocence in the midst of all that, which is something that I loved the most about your events. And just that everyone, I think in life, I move through life appreciating the beauty in people, but being at a con and seeing the particularly artistic and creative and intelligent people express their own internal vision of whatever it is they want to manifest just really put me in awe of the beauty and creativity that's just walking around in people around us, and made me feel really connected to them in like a sort of overarching way. So I found, yeah, I think reaffirmation of my belief in the beauty in people, and that's why I love going to your cons.
Has anyone else been taught any particular? Oh, I mean, I just read one of Dr. Bork's articles about a burn he went to, but I don't know if he actually wants to talk about that. But it was a pretty.
Sure.
But I took a lot of life changing lessons from it.
Oh, I didn't know you're a burner too.
Yeah.
Does the
I
coolness
think
never
it was
end? Oh my
fun.
gosh.
So I don't think, yeah. So I had this like really crazy semester. So I went manic actually. I finished a book, passed a math test, passed my doctoral qualifying exams, passed 3 classes, but I lost contact with reality while I was doing it. And then afterwards, my friend took me to a burn to kind of like help me reset. And yeah, I had a great time.
Wow.
Yeah.
Did you expect it? Like, was it what you expected to have happen?
Yeah, because like I've been in the punk scene, and I young me had a lot of fun. So it's kind of like a lot of like that life that I had like. I raised a special needs daughter for 18 years, and I did the family thing, so I kind of lost touch with like that life. So I just like immediately was like right back to it, and yeah, it was really nice.
I think, you know, um, cliched as it is, I think I took a sense of community out of the event world. What people can do when they come together and want to try to help each other and want to try
Yeah.
to create something together. It's really a very unique and special feeling.
It's amazing,
Yeah.
Jeff. I've seen that too. I didn't. Well, this year we went kind of a little bit of everywhere. At least beginning of the year till August, and then we did was able to go to Texas. But that's one thing that I always loved about going to events because people seem to kind of come together. I mean, I went to a place event, and I was kind of one of the only guys there selling my stuff, and I realized it's mostly going to be women, which is okay, because they all kind of had that community sense of come together. You know what I mean? And I was like one of the only ones that sold epic fantasy. Everyone was like spicy, romancy, smut, and I'm like, okay, this is different, but it still kind of brought like everyone was friendly and they tried to help each other and had a great conversation. I met a lot of nice people, and it was just the community part is really amazing.
I think on that community note, I think what I'll do is I'll ask if any of our presenters want to talk a little about their work or anything that people ought to look up to find them before we go. And I guess we'll let Ryan go last and just mention his GoFundMe. My name is Jeff Mack, MACH. You can find me at Jeff Mack Writes or on Patreon, or most likely you can find me through the Steampunk World's Fair or Twitter. Ed, would you like to talk a little bit about yourself?
I'm not promoting anything for myself. My wife is fantasy writer DL Carter, and she writes mostly paranormal romance.
Ooh, that sounds fun.
Yeah.
Where could we find her work?
On Amazon, if you search D.L. Carter.
I'm looking now so I don't forget later.
Yeah.
Dr. Bork, did you want to talk about anything? Did you want to look at your Substack or anything?
No, yeah, I have a Substack, just nathanielbork2.substack.com, and I've got academic publications, and I kind of just like dabble in a lot of different areas. So yeah, yeah, and in my Substack, I just steel man both sides of every argument. So like every topic, I just try to give the best version of both sides of the argument. Yeah.
Yep. Oh, by the way, D site is sorry, dlcarterauthor.com. Sorry.
dlcarterauthor.com.
Yes.
And we'll put the links in into the Facebook event as well. Tatiana, do you have anything that you want to talk about, or should we just go straight to Ryan?
I do mostly polemical political writing that nobody's interested in, so it's fine. But thank you.
Ryan, would you like to talk a little about your writing, and I'll just give us a very brief closing note afterwards?
So it is available on Amazon if you look the Flare Chronicles. You can Google my name, Ryan Knoll, and it's pretty well everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Substack, Twitter, Facebook, Instagram, Pinterest. There's a bunch of reels and illustrations and things like that. Most of it's under the Flare Chronicles, like Amazon. You can buy it's on the Flare Chronicles. My wife loves posting cooking videos. If everyone wants cooking videos or decorating, she's very good about that. So find her on Facebook. Um, And you know, before I go and everyone goes, though, I just really from the bottom of my heart, I just want to say thank you guys to everyone again that kind of has made this happen. That was able to show up and have a goofy, lovable night. I love the conversation. I love meeting people. The readers for listening and joining. And sorry for the technical difficulties and my wacky 5 and 6 year olds for being a bit crazy at night and the boys. But thank you guys. And also, as soon as my website will finally get back up, I don't know when, but as soon as it gets back up, it's going to be authorryannoel.com. But if you look at Ryan Knoll or the Flair Chronicles, you can find me. Now, in Instagram, it is Ryan John Knoll. So I'm holding a book like a little nerd. I kind of look like a nerd in my shorts and everything by the back porch. But I do try to help. There is hopefully a lot of stuff coming up next year, and I do support local communities and creators and authors and things like that. So thank you guys.
Thank you, Ryan. I'd like to thank everyone for coming out tonight. My God, it's been amazing to have this night with you all. Thank you all for donating your time and your energy. Thank you for everyone who has watched. Thank you for everyone who has checked out the GoFundMe. You're all absolutely amazing, and I've had a wonderful night. Thank you guys all so much. I'm going to see if I can figure out how to hit the end stream button. One moment, please. Good
Good
night,
lovely
everybody.
meeting you all.